Well, if you didn't like the big bad orange man as commander-in-chief, what about him as top legislator? Cue the liberal meltdown.
Former President Donald Trump apparently entertaining the idea of becoming Speaker of the House, even telling Fox News Digital that he would accept a short-term role. Sources telling Fox News that he'll be on Capitol Hill next week, meeting with members of the Republican conference. Joining us now, Fox News contributor and the Guy Benson show host, Guy Benson. Hello, DJT.
Hey guys, look, I want to say it's an honor to be here on the air with two of the most iconic Virginians since the earliest days of our republic. And I love you both. I know you both. Per the last segment, I do recommend therapy for you both, however.
Thank you.
I don't think it'll help.
What do you think?
Look, this is a wild situation that we have seen unfolding this week. The former president is going to, I guess, potentially get in the mix, trying to help. I know he's at least somewhat tongue-in-cheek offered to perhaps raise his hand and be Speaker of the House for a short period of time. This is not going to happen. I know it's a little piece of D.C. trivia that you don't have to be a member of the House to be the Speaker. This is something that D.C. folks like to talk about from time to time. You need to have deep institutional knowledge, a lot of hands-on work, a lot of patience to be the Speaker of the House. This guy, Donald Trump, has a few other things on his plate right now. 4 indictments, running for president. I just don't think he wants any part of this, especially because every Republican speaker seems to become hated by a large group of the party. He doesn't need that. So I think he likes the attention. I think he would like to maybe help whip some votes if it can be useful, but it's a little silly, right? It's fun, though, fun to talk about.
I forgive you for raining on my parade, but this was like my dream of watching this happen. But in seriousness, though, to what degree does the mere specter of Donald Trump standing at the top of the rostrum with the gavel possibly force everybody in the conference, including the Never-Trumpers, to kind of focus on the need to find a speaker very quickly?
I think a lot of things could focus the mind. For example, I saw today that former Congresswoman Liz Cheney has endorsed the removal of Kevin McCarthy, which is, the Matt Gaetz move here. That's his whole gambit. And I can imagine some of these Democrats in the House saying, she could be an interesting Speaker of the House if we can get 5 or 6 Republicans to join us. So that might get the attention of some of the folks on the hard right as well. Like, come on, guys, let's get the House back open so it can do its work, which it's unable to do with a Republican majority so long as there is no speaker.
I can't wait to see how it plays out for that shape-shifting kidney shanker, Nancy Mace. Speaking of shape-shifting kidney shankers, wow. Hillary Clinton. She's calling for action against the group of McCarthy ousters. Listen to this.
We could have disagreements. I'm all for that. I was in the Senate for 8 years. I worked with a lot of Republicans and, opposed them when I didn't agree. But at some point, there needs to be a backlash against the control that this small group of extremists have.
Guy, what backlash?
I mean, I don't disagree with her on this particular point, but if she actually wants that to happen, she shouldn't say it. Because anything Hillary Clinton says is anathema to almost all Republicans. True. And they might say, well, hang on, even if I agree with her, I'm going to take a second look at the other position because it's coming out of her mouth. So I don't think that was really constructive. Maybe it was a matter of political analysis. Leave that to us, Hillary. Thank you very much.
But the other thing is, she's talking about a small group of extremists with whom every Democrat voted on this issue.
Right,
so
exactly.
It's like, what are you talking about, woman?
Yeah, the Democrats are raising money off of the chaos in the House and saying, oh, we can't even work here. We're paralyzed. You all voted for it. I get the Republicans own it because it's their mess. You all voted for it, every last one of you. They're like, oh, my word, look what's happening. Please give us money.
Charlie and I have been talking about this, but they all, Schiff and Jerry Nadler, and they all voted for it, right? They're going to get Jim Jordan, maybe, who they hate. And Jim Jordan is going to be walking around with his shirt sleeves up, just angry and just plaguing them in their dreams. And I can't wait for it.
And, 10 years ago, before Matt Gaetz came along, Jim Jordan was the guy that everybody hated. Now he's going to be speaker.
Be careful what you wish for, Jim,
Amen.
because things have a way of shifting in Washington, D.C. By the way, can I just say, so interesting, for years the Democrats would sort of roll their eyes and sneer at Jim Jordan and his sleeves without the jacket in the House. Then they're all like in Fetterman's party. So that's an interesting development, isn't it, in terms of sartorial offense?
Truly. But I do think we could go to Goodwill and find Jim Jordan a jacket and just give it to him, maybe.
I agree.
You can't dress up Fetterman.
Well, who wants it? Who wants to look like Jerry Nadler if it's that kind of jacket? It's covered in dandruff. Guy, we got to go.
Wow.
Guy Benson.
Good to see you.
That's
All right,
true.
guys. Good to see you.